Welcome to the Baseball Insiders. I am Adam Weinrib, joined as always by FanSided's MLB insider Robert Murray. Does Vladimir Guerrero Jr. love that dirty water? Why is Justin Verlander going to the city by the bay? And the Reds acquire Gavin Lux, which, good news, they finally have an infielder. Here to help me make sense of all of that is FanSided's own Robert Murray. On a Wednesday show, coming off a Monday show, coming off a Tuesday Q&A for the All-Stars. We are rolling this week. Robert, how are you doing, man?
I am great. This week has been very busy in terms of podcasting, in terms of the Discord Q&A. We also got arbitration day coming up, which is surely going to be absolutely just madness on my end. So if you have tweet notifications on for me, I'm going to get ahead of it now and just apologize in advance. Adam does not look tired despite Andrew Lee's comment here. So I think Adam looks lovely as always. But yeah, no, I'm ready for a good show today. We got lots of stuff in the hopper. Adam, how we doing?
We're doing good. Yeah, you're supposed to not tell people they look tired. I thought that was I thought we left that in the 70s. I didn't think you were allowed to do that anymore. But thank you for joining the show. Look, there's been a lot of news breaking this week. We've been waiting. It's not breaking maybe as fast as some of you would like. It's all when it comes though. It's all coming down at like 7 p.m. Eastern. After work hours. Is it frustrating? No, but you work a whole day and then Justin Verlander decides where he's going. Once the evening kicks in and we're all like, that would have been nice at 2 p.m. But you know what? We press on. We certainly press on in the Discord. Thanks for joining us. We'll again, this is our Wednesday show. We'll be back on Friday at 3:30 Eastern. But today, here we are, 1 o'clock Eastern time to settle some of the rumors that have cropped up. Bob Nightingale gave us a pretty sweet column yesterday morning to react to. We're obviously going to start there. But if you're joining us here, why don't you join us semi-permanently in a non-threatening way and just subscribe. Turn on your notifications so you know when we're going live. You could even hit the join button and join us in the Discord, either at the Rumor Mill tier or at the All-Star tier where you get priority responses. In the chat, you can ask your questions first in that private channel. Got a few that we will load. I had a controversial take on Wingstop from the last show. Kind of a non-take. I don't know where it is. I've never had it. I don't know what it tastes like. And I'm just now finding out the fries are seasoned. Maybe that's why I'm so tired. I've been up all night thinking about seasoned fries. But we appreciate your questions. We're going to get to some of them later in a bit as well. Also, subscribe to the Moonshot if you have not. That is FanSided MLB's weekly baseball email newsletter where the team, including Robert Murray, will break down all the biggest stories in the big leagues with humor, insight, and behind-the-scenes info. So get on that list. Well. Speaking of the man of the hour, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., a lot of insight on Vlad's market. He is still a Blue Jay for now. There is a spring training deadline that every Toronto fan has in mind for maybe an extension can get worked out, maybe not, but obviously Vlad is watching the Juan Soto market. Vlad is watching the other currently developing markets, and he's certainly interested in financial security. The rumored contract ask from Nightingale, $450 million. That's just sort of a figure that sounds like you asked me on the spot to say, hey, what's a really big number? And I was like, oh, $450 million. So who knows? Take that with a grain of salt, obviously, but he wants cash. So we know that. And Nightingale said later in the piece, the original quote was, if he doesn't receive an extension by spring training, he'll test free agents and likely will be wearing a Red Sox uniform in 2026. He then edited that and changed it to just a discussion of close friends thinking that he prefers Boston. He deleted that sentence entirely and just included the rest that said, hey, close friends think he might be interested in being a Red Sox. We did see him like that Instagram post featuring him, Devers, and Soto. Soto will not be a Red Sox, but he might. And the rumored ask might be why Boston is a little bit hesitant on meeting Alex Bregman's number now, considering they might be trying to meet double Bregman for Vlad Jr. next offseason. Curious as to your thoughts on this, whether you've heard anything similar about likely be wearing a Red Sox uniform or just desires to, and even from the Red Sox end, what are they thinking here?
Boy, there's a lot to unpack with everything you just said. And as far as Vlad Jr. goes here, let's start with his situation with the Toronto Blue Jays. He's a player that the Blue Jays should have prioritized getting an extension done a long time ago. And they've waited. They have not come close to getting any sort of deal done. And especially now with Juan Soto getting well over $700 million, it's increased the price here on Vlad Jr. I don't know if the 450 number is right, but ever since the Soto deal got done, my assumption is that Vlad will be seeking for anything around 400 to 500 million, maybe more. Like, it wouldn't hurt to ask for the moon. Can't imagine he's going to get anything in outer space. But he is going to get a massive contract. And the 450 number, like a 450 million number, to me sounds right. I don't have it like 100% confirmed there by any means. But my guess is the way that this is trending is Vlad Jr. will not sign an extension this offseason, and he will eventually become a free agent. And if he does become a free agent, then my guess is that he ends up leaving Toronto. And that opens up just a number of different suitors, and a player of Vlad Jr.'s caliber, especially his age, and just how talented he is overall. Last year, he didn't have like the greatest power numbers, but still he was a very productive player in Toronto. And he's going to have numerous big market teams bidding for his services. And would not be surprised at all if the Red Sox were involved in that. They've been involved in a lot of these big name players. But to say that it's likely going to happen or that he's going to be a Red Sox when he's about a year away from free agency, to me, that's extremely premature. Let's let this offseason play out. Let's let the regular season play out, because a lot can change. But I would not be surprised in the slightest if the Red Sox weren't involved. But just saying that it's bound to happen, I'm not ready to go there quite yet.
Well, in case everybody was hoping for an offseason next year without a marquee name holding up the proceedings for everyone else, sorry, Vlad Jr. Any thoughts on has anything changed between Monday's show and today's show regarding Bregman, by the way, just because I know there's a Boston connection there. Him and Walker Buehler own a horse together. That's pretty ironclad. We've got the Mets and Tigers involved as well, as far as we know. It would make Boston understandably hesitant to commit whatever it's going to take. I mean, it does seem like there's still a $200 million ask or something approaching that from Bregman. So do you sense that they're still connected, or any trepidation, maybe trepidation based on Vlad Jr.?
I don't necessarily know if that's the case. As far as Bregman goes, I haven't heard of anything changing there. I will say, like, I've seen all the Mets connections with Bregman, and I still have not heard that that's strong. I'm not saying that's like it's wrong by any means, but it's not something that I've really heard there. I still think the most likely option for the Mets is getting Pete Alonso re-signed there. It's just going to be a short-term contract, high AAV with an opt-out after year one or something like that. But I've not heard Bregman that much with the Mets. I still don't necessarily know where things stand with the Red Sox. I've kind of thought that fit was overblown. So we'll see there. But the Bregman market's just, to me, it's a really hard one to kind of figure out right now. Him and Alonso, they're both of those markets for Boris, not the easiest ones to forecast right now.
And there was a Katie Wu piece that said, I think what we've all sort of known for at least the last couple of days, that the last chance for Nolan Arenado to get traded this offseason may be the Red Sox as well. So Boston, whether or not they're the destination for it, might be Boston or nowhere for Nolan Arenado. They might have to reevaluate that midseason, which would be unfortunate for a Cardinals team that it seems pretty intent on reloading, but has been unable to move a piece that might be just a year past that premium expiration date.
Yeah, no, exactly. And sorry, I'm working over here.
Folks, you might get a good one today. You might get a show break, or you might not. Who knows? But either way, I think we'll stay tuned on Arenado, because it does feel like it's coming down to the wire, and maybe more likely for Boston than Bregman is. Good super chat question from Robbie as well here. In that Mookie and Juan Soto were sort of the last two names of this caliber, and you can add Shohei Ohtani there as well, in terms of like monster free agents whose teams, for whatever reason, had ruled out keeping them long-term for varied reasons. The Nats and Padres for Soto, the Red Sox and Mookie, and the Angels and Ohtani. The Angels did not capitalize on Ohtani's trade value, but the other two teams, or three teams if you count both Soto teams, did before ever entertaining a mega deal in free agency. So I guess that's an option for Vlad and the Blue Jays as well. The same Nightingale column all but ruled out a long-term pact between the Jays and Bo Bichette, in addition to whatever happens to Vlad Jr., which makes you wonder, okay, do they, they've got 2.5 months before the regular season. Do we explore the trade market now? Do we hold both for midseason? Is the trade market something that the Blue Jays would consider with cornerstone players like this? It kind of does feel like they're going to have to, unless they can make sort of an unexpected run in the East.
Yeah, I would say as far as this goes here, the Blue Jays, to me, they should have traded Vlad Jr. at last year's deadline, and they would have gotten an absolute haul in exchange for Vlad Jr. I mean, he had 1.5 years remaining on his contract. Obviously, a very proven veteran player, and a team that acquired him would have had a chance to get at least 2 postseason runs on him, and that's extremely valuable. And they waited. They made it absolutely clear that they did not want to trade him, that they would not trade him, that they wanted to compete in 2025. And now here we are. Their roster has not gotten better. You can argue it's gotten, just stagnant. They've tried. They have been unsuccessful in trying to recruit free agents to Toronto, and it makes that entire front office look bad right now. It makes them look like they don't have a plan. Overall, it's just really confusing. And I know there's a history of with guys not getting extensions, like Mookie Betts and Juan Soto getting traded. You would think the exact same thing here for Vlad Jr. Maybe that is the case if all of a sudden the Blue Jays are way out of the race come mid-season. But with them and just their unwillingness to kind of admit defeat, you never really know. But yeah, overall, it's really confusing. Yep. All right, I just got it. Martin Perez is going to the Chicago White Sox. I'm tweeting it right now.
Folks, do you see what you get when you tune in for a 1:00 Wednesday show? You never know. The Chicago White Sox, much like the Sacramento A's, need to spend money. Martin Perez, bona fide. We know exactly what he is. Somebody that maybe a contender might be interested in the second half of this season. But this is why we tell you to turn your Twitter notifications on.
There we go.
For Robert Murray, because if you did have him, my wrist just buzzed during the show. I just got that news three times in a row. Martin Perez, a Chicago White Sox. And the fit is, enjoy. Maybe he and Bobby Dahlbeck reunited in the locker room.
Yeah, no, it's a good move for the White Sox. They needed arms in that rotation. I've been getting questions all over the Discord, even on Twitter, about whether or not they'll end up adding another arm. This gives them some veteran insurance. I have an idea of what the terms are. It's not exactly overly that much, but it's a good move for them. Get some veteran insurance there, and yeah, we got more movement. Would not be surprised if we have more moves coming in the coming days and maybe even today.
Personally, I would be shocked. I don't think there are going to be any more moves in the coming days, and certainly not today. No, we're just getting started. Thank you for joining us. And it's good to get a move during the daytime hours. Again, if people could announce that they were, maybe 42-year-old future Hall of Famers could announce that they're joining the NL West. If they could do that during regular business hours, that would be fantastic. But, there's nothing we can do about Justin Verlander choosing the San Francisco Giants last night, or at least getting it announced last night via Jeff Passan. That is a 1 year, $15 million deal for Verlander, coming off a bad year last year. But it was 2023's winter that he was one of the Mets' high-profile acquisitions and one of the biggest names that changed hands at the trade deadline going back to the Astros. It was 2022 that he won the American League Cy Young. So odds are that Verlander's best days are behind him. That's no shock. But there's a chance that Verlander's upcoming days are better than the upcoming days of many other pitchers. And $15 million is Alex Cobb money. Marcus Stroman's making $18 million this year, and the Yankees are desperately trying to get rid of him, as we've heard this week. So I don't, I'm not going to get out here and enthusiastically cheerlead and say that Verlander's about to make a difference in the NL West race. I think the Giants are behind the Padres and Diamondbacks and Dodgers at this moment in time, but there are worse ways to spend your $15 million. And we've seen a few of them in the last month of action.
No, we absolutely have. And I think Verlander going to the Giants is a good move for them. And if you look at this, you can look at it in a number of different ways. Is you get a future Hall of Fame pitcher for $15 million. You put him in a rotation. You end up having a bunch of young guys. You have Logan Webb, you have Kyle Harrison, you have Birdsong, you have a number of different guys there. And he can end up being a veteran mentor for these guys, someone for them to pick their brains, or to pick their brain. And I think it's a real smart move for the Giants. It gives them another arm in a rotation that needed some reinforcements, especially with hang on. Let's see. I'm working on some other stuff. So my phone's kind of busy right now.
Martin Perez has unsigned with the White Sox. You heard it here first.
No, don't let Adam try to fool you. But the Giants, they needed some more arms here. And they also have the Jordan Hicks question is, can he last an entire season in the rotation? Would they move him back to the bullpen at some point during the season? Having Verlander gives them another arm, possibly allows them to be flexible with a guy like Hicks, or just gives them insurance for when injuries end up happening. So for me, I think it was a smart move. Gives them the same contract as Alex Cobb, which I know that kind of surprised some folks. For me, it makes me wonder what exactly a guy like Max Scherzer is going to get in free agency. So we'll see there. But yeah, I didn't have any issues with it whatsoever. I knew the Giants were poking around in the starting pitching market. I mentioned on a previous show that they were in on Shane Bieber. Similar terms here, gets him a veteran right-handed arm for 1 year. And there's no such thing as a bad 1 year deal.
Max Scherzer definitely in the forgotten free agent camp right now as well. David Robertson, like there are names that when they sign, we're all just going to collectively be like, oh yeah, right. There are older superstars on the market. And Verlander, good job securing an Alex Cobb-esque bag with the San Francisco Giants. I would like to see Justin Verlander stick around and win 300 games. Seems implausible at this point in time, but you know what? There are hopes and dreams, and I have them, and you can't take me down. So Gavin Lux also on the move this week. Talk about moves that occurred after regular business hours. There were rumors that over the weekend, I think we even talked about it on Monday's show, that the Mariners were pushing for Gavin Lux. The Yankees were involved, but maybe getting outworked by the Mariners here. And then, boom, Cincinnati Reds show up, trade pick 37 in the upcoming draft to the Dodgers, as well as Mike Sirota, who was an outfield prospect that the Dodgers had drafted out of high school and really wanted. So not surprising the Dodgers found a way to get their guy. I'm a little confused about this just from a Reds infielder overload perspective, but Gavin Lux in the second half of last year finally started to get comfortable after that ACL tear and became the player I think many of us expected him to back in the day when he was at the top of most top 100 prospect lists. Are you surprised, though, that Cincinnati is going to stick with him and did not spin him to the Yankees, which is what Jim Bowden teased after the move dropped? And then he said disregard, that's not happening, like 10 minutes later. He even used my new favorite hashtag clarification. So yeah, that's always helpful. If any of you guys need to clarify something, make sure you add hashtag clarification so that we know it's a clarification. But he's joining a sort of a crowded Reds infield that maybe is going to move Matt McClain around a little bit, it would seem, and he'll fill in for Jonathan India.
Yeah. It seems like every move or one out of every two moves that the Reds make is adding to the infield. So they just have a lot of different infielders there. And I mean, they have a glut of them. So we'll see what ends up happening there. But moving Lux was never a real consideration here for the Reds. Like they acquired him to keep him. And I remember when the report surfaced that he could end up being moved to the Yankees. I had someone text me saying, what? So that was basically
you were looking for a hashtag clarification there.
I was, and the clarification I got was that the Reds acquired Lux to keep him. And to me, this was always the move that made the most sense for the Dodgers. Is you have Ha-Seong Kim, who left-handed hitter. You have Lux, left-handed hitter. You want to it didn't make sense to keep both of those guys. They were talking about using Kim in a super utility role, which maybe that could end up making some sense. But moving on from Lux opens the door for the Dodgers to possibly add a right-handed hitter. Maybe that could end up being Kiké Hernández. Who knows? But I think that fit makes a lot of sense. Kiké Hernández is obviously a tremendously valuable piece for the Dodgers. Wouldn't be surprised in the slightest to see a reunion there, although I haven't heard any smoke to suggest it's close for whatever that's worth. But despite the Dodgers saying that they wanted to keep Lux, a trade always made the most sense. And now here we are with Lux now in Cincinnati. John Giunta, I love you too. And I also love the Toronto Blue Jays. Gresham 5, I hope you're enjoying your Gresham 5 time today. Both of those guys are always welcome on this program. We love them. But that's where I stand on that.
Yeah, if anybody wants to say they love Robert, that's always welcome in the comments or the Discord or truly wherever you want to let him know that you love him. The replies to the Martin Perez tweet, there's no incorrect spot to do that, so we appreciate it. Thanks for joining us, everybody, on the show. Of course, anything in the notebook, and then we'll open it up to a few questions from the crowd. I know if you're in the Discord, this is no shocker, but people have been curious about the Alex Verdugo Pirates connection and the Blue Jays and Mets Verdugo connection and the Randall Grichuk Pirates connection that emerged from Mark Feinsand's reporting yesterday. So I don't know if we've got anything on that or anything else that you want to address. Martin Perez, does he perhaps have a new home?
No, Martin Perez does indeed have a new home. So he is not unsigned, despite what Adam said earlier. Hashtag clarification.
That's a hashtag clarification on the Martin Perez market. I'm happy to give it to everybody.
No, you're doing tremendous work over there. But the
I'm
Pirates
tired, I don't know.
Yeah, the Pirates are indeed interested in Alex Verdugo, as we said on the show on Monday. Nothing to my knowledge has changed there. He is a player of high interest there. As Mark Feinsand reported, like they do have interest in Randall Grichuk. Don't necessarily know like their level of interest there, but the Pirates are looking for offensive reinforcements. It's no surprise there, considering they struggled last year as a whole. So they're evaluating all options there, but to my knowledge, nothing is close on any front as far as offense goes. But it's no surprise that they have competition for a guy like Verdugo, because I mean, you look at the Blue Jays, it feels like they've been connected almost every bat this offseason, and just we'll see if they're ultimately able to get him or like a Santander or anyone like that. The Mets continue to look for a piece to add to the outfield, and you would think Jesse Winker would be another player of interest there as well, considering his success there. But that market overall, like that level of outfielder, that tier, has just been kind of slow to get started here. And no, I am not related to Bill Murray, John, just to squash that. I am not related to Bill Murray.
Thought you were. Couple of questions about Luis Arraez. And I think the questions stemmed from, hey, does the Gavin Lux trade affect his market? Hey, the Yankees obviously don't have a second baseman or third baseman, depending on where you want to put Jazz Chisholm. Are the Yankees and Arraez still connected? The last we heard around the time Lux was dealt, John Heyman tweeted the Yankees and Arraez not a fit. Obviously, that can change. It's thought that the Yankees aren't really a fit for Arenado either. That could change, but so far, we've heard from the same Nightingale column that gave us like 100 talking points that the Yankees are talking to Brendan Rodgers, Ahmed Rosario off the board. So obviously that's someone they talked to before last season, but had many chances to pick up midseason and trade on the waiver wire and didn't. So their interest clearly waned there. But Arraez, Rodgers, these are the names that are sort of floating around the Yankees rumor sphere right now. Curious if there's anything you've heard.
Yeah, it's just the Yankees are evaluating their options there. They've had conversations with the Padres about Arraez. They've had conversations with a number of different guys here when it comes to infield, and it seems like their interest in adding to the infield is meaningful. It's sincere. Like they want to add some additional reinforcements there. But I have not heard of anyone who is more likely than any other at this point. So that's what I can say there. But they've had conversations with San Diego about Arraez, as we said, but I don't get the sense that anything is imminent there by any means.
Showtime LA with our daily Tanner Scott shout out. Love the show, guys. Thank you. Love you as well. Love your show if you have one. Shohei Ohtani, I guess I don't love him, so that's okay. But is Tanner Scott a Dodger or a Brave? I heard the Mets for Tanner Scott this week as well. And the Red Sox were somewhat involved. Chris Cotillo has them really poking around the back-end reliever market. So any thoughts on Scott? Is it the Dodgers or Braves, or are there additional teams that could easily get involved there?
There's a lot of teams involved in Tanner Scott here. It's not just the Dodgers, not just the Braves, not just the Red Sox. There's a lot of like big market teams that are involved in this. And that comes as no surprise whatsoever for a player as talented as Tanner Scott. And like we even saw Will Salmon of the Athletic report that Scott's met with the Mets. So there's a high level of big market teams that are involved here. It's only going to drive the price up more, which is why there was a report in Boston the other day that Scott's annual average value could approach $20 million a year, and that's a lot of coin for a veteran reliever. But he has been dominant in recent years, especially his first half with the Miami Marlins last year. So he's certainly deserving of it for sure. But yeah, just I can tell you his market is extensive from what I've gathered.
Scott and the Mets meeting does sound like a leverage play, but I thought the same thing about the Yankees and Max Fried, and then all of a sudden that was done. So, never count any meeting out as inconsequential. We'll definitely keep everybody posted if we hear more on Tanner Scott. Clarifying from earlier, Nat Gordon, is there a chance the Arenado situation is coming to a head soon? Do we think that this sort of Red Sox ultimatum that they're the last chance to deal him means we get a deal in the coming days, or that it's just indicative of the market kind of drying up?
Yeah, the market is just drying up. As Katie Wu ended up mentioning, it might be the Red Sox are bust here for Arenado. And maybe that could change if there's an injury during spring training, but he had an opportunity to go to the Astros and he turned it down. There was reports that he ended up leaving the door open for changing his mind if he continued to linger on the market throughout the offseason here, but they obviously pivoted to Christian Walker, and that kind of just took them out of that race like altogether. So if it's not going to be the Red Sox, it might just result in him staying with the Cardinals. And like even Joel Wolf ended up mentioning during the winter meetings that he's got a good situation in St. Louis. Like he doesn't have to be traded. He's got a good thing there, and he's not going to force his way out just to force his way out. It's going to be for a better situation, an opportunity to win. So we'll see what happens. But to my feeling as of right now is it's either going to be Cardinals, Red Sox, or just, maybe mystery team. But it's looking pretty bleak right there for options here for Arenado.
There's that Roki Sasaki mystery team too. We haven't had enough mystery teams this offseason. We're finally getting the one mysterious team that had a meeting with Roki Sasaki that isn't one of the popularly mentioned teams to keep an eye on. Do you think that the Sasaki mystery team has a chance to emerge victorious, or we're just hearing about meetings after the fact to make it seem a little bit more, packed?
It is. I'm not thinking there's gonna be a mystery team that pops out of nowhere to get him. I think it's gonna be in the teams that we know. Most likely gonna end up being the Dodgers or the Padres is my guess. What could change, but that's been my feel all offseason here.
Love that mystery team though. Well, thank you everyone. One last question from the Discord. Who's got more swag, Robert or Adam from Punk Rock Poppy in the All-Star channel? It is a tough one. It's tough to appraise your own swag. I don't think I have any swag, so I would say Robert, but I think Robert's probably going to say me. So then we're probably at an impasse here, and I think we have to duel.
No, I was actually going to disagree. I wasn't going to go with that route, Adam. I actually wasn't. I was going to go with Biscuit.
Well, Biscuit has swag. Biscuit last night, he had ink on a paw, and we were like, where did this ink come from? And I checked. He had ink on two other paws, ink on the couch, and yet no pen has been found. There's a pen to be named later. So if you know where a pen might be, let me know, because my dog chewed it, discarded it, made it disappear. Did Biscuit's 14 pounds. Did Biscuit eat a pen? Sound off in the comments. Let us know in the Discord. I would love to hear from you if you think my 14-pound dog, fresh off a haircut, ate a damn pen. So far, no sign of a change of behavior. I don't think he did, but I certainly don't know where the pen is. So if that's not swag, then I don't know what is.
No, I think Biscuit is an absolute G. We love Biscuit on this show. I hope Biscuit's okay after eating the pen.
He seems okay, and you know what? Maybe he did eat a pen. I don't know.
No, and Jared is correct. The correct term is aura, and Biscuit has aura. So does Cooper, who is sound asleep somewhere. I don't know where he is, but he's somewhere in here. Cooper, by the way, took Cooper to the vet yesterday for his final round of parvo shots. He's 28.2 pounds. So that is groundbreaking news. I think he's like tripled in size since I've gotten him.
Cooper's big.
Nightmare. He's gonna be like 70 to 80 pounds. He's gonna be a big dog. He's gonna be a big boy. It's gonna be nice.
Let's just say if Cooper ate a pen, you wouldn't miss it. You wouldn't even know. And I'm asked to check the backyard by MLB Deadline News. MFer thinks I have a backyard to check. Next. No, good tip. Well, look, we got to get to the bottom of this, and hopefully it doesn't get solved in Biscuit's bottom. Thank you, everyone, for joining the show today. One last thing I want to speak on before we go. The Hall of Fame voting. We're going to find out who is in the BBWAA portion of the class of 2025 in less than 2 weeks. I believe it's January 21st. And this week, we have already seen columns from both Ken Rosenthal and Jason Stark advocating for Andy Pettitte to make the Hall of Fame. He's in his 7th year of eligibility. He's not getting in this year, but CC Sabathia maybe has paved the path for him to get more consideration. Looks like his vote total might go up by 30% this year. He's around the 30 mark pre-private ballot reveal. Not bad. Unfortunately, these two columns from respected insiders have led to trolls claiming that Pettitte's PED connection should render him ineligible. And sad to say, look, I'm a fair guy. I agree with them. I commend these people for their principled stand. No player, no matter how beloved, should get special treatment from the Hall of Fame after a public positive PED test. I agree with you all that we should remove David Ortiz from the Hall of Fame. Burn. Savage. Robert Murray, thank you for joining me. As always, we will be back on Friday. Fair is fair. If Andy Pettitte can't be in the Hall because he had a positive PED test, then David Ortiz can't either because he also had one of those. It got reported. Oops, sorry. We'll be back Friday at 3:30. Join us in the Discord. In between then, ask us your questions. We'll take some of them onto the show. We'll answer some of them during the next couple of days of the Discord. That's where you find Robert and I when we're not live on the air. We are in the Discord hanging out. So thanks for joining us. Robert Murray. We broke one live on the show today, and then I trolled. I did a little trolling. Yeah,
I mean, that's as good of a show as we could possibly ask for right there. I'm sure you're going to end up getting some absolute heat for that.
I don't care.
Trolling there, Adam.
Hey, fair's fair. Fair's fair. We no positive PED test in the Hall of Fame. Get Big Poppy out of there. Hope he learns his lesson.
I will say that I think the most controversial thing you have said on this podcast is that you have never had Wingstop.
Mm-hmm.
So that is, we're still evaluating that internally here. Just terrible behavior. I will change that, by the way. I will order you Wingstop. We got to change that. But we appreciate everyone who tuned in for the show, watched us break some news, quality content, at least we hope. As always, Adam, you're the best. Everyone in the comments, you are the best. Cooper is sound asleep, just like AJ Preller. I'm sorry, Drew. And Joanne, our lovely producer, we appreciate you. Good show today, Adam.
Good show today. Biscuit also sound asleep. If we're letting people into the Baseball Hall of Fame based on aura, David Ortiz is in. If we're letting in based on PED tests, he's out. But feel free to show up, rally around me, or scream at me in the Discord between shows, or show up on Friday. I'll be here. Robert will be here. 3:30 Eastern time. Can't wait to see you then. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.